views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Mother Nature has the answer to all the things we need. It is in the purest waters which flow out to the sea. You will find it on the prairies, in the rich and fertile lands, and you will find abundance upon the desert sands.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Zenus Hour. I'm Bobby Dooley, and we have a couple special guests with us today. We have Christine Contini. Christine is an intuitive consultant, and we have Timothy Connor back with us. Timothy was with us about 2 months ago, I think it was, and Timothy's come back. He's a quantum touch practitioner, and we want to say a hello to Doug and Christina Whitfield, who are traipsing through Upper Canada on a lecture tour. They're the owners of Zenus, and they make this hour possible, and we want to say a big hello to them, and a big hello to our mascot BB, the wonder dog, the Papillon, who ate some things the other day that she shouldn't have eaten, but she's doing really good, and so we're really tickled that BB's doing good. So congratulations on a successful trip. They're going to be doing another lecture tomorrow. So hello, a big hello to all of our friends in Canada. And I want to just give a quick shout out to a mutual friend of ours, Don Vaca.
Yes, hello, Don.
Hello, Don Vaca. Don was responsible for me meeting Christine about 3 years ago. We came in for a meeting, and Timothy's been just raving about her for, how long have you been telling me about Christine? About 3 weeks?
At least.
Yeah, and every time we talk, he says, have you gotten some time for Christine and I? And I say, yeah, but, we'll get you in, and so it worked out today that she could join us, and Timothy was gracious enough to join us. So why don't we start off by, just in an introductory way, what got you involved in your line of work? And can you, for people that don't know what an intuitive consultant is, explain that to them?
Well, intuition is where you use some of your higher self, some of the parts of your brain that you don't use on a daily basis. And so an intuitive counselor uses those parts, and I'm not a licensed counselor, so I am a very good consultant.
Very good. And we were just getting to know each other a little bit before the show, and let me tell you, we're going to have Christine back more than once, I think, because she's got a story that is just fascinating. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. I actually started learning about healing because I had no other choice. I was very, very ill. I had severe multiple sclerosis. I was in bed 18 hours a day, barely able to walk. I'd lost most of my vocabulary. I could barely talk. My pain threshold was obliterated because my pain was so high I could barely function. I was maxed out on all of the medications they could possibly give me for my symptoms, and I had nothing else to do. And I was mainstream medicine, and I was just told that things would get worse. So I started praying one day, and I talked to my dad. My dad says, well, find yourself a Buddhist. Now, I was raised Catholic, so it was really strange to me that my dad said, find a Buddhist.
Was he Catholic at the time?
Yes. And I said, why? He said, because they know something about healing that we didn't learn. And so I started meditating and doing the mantras that the Buddhists do and studying some of their philosophy, and it made a big difference. I started looking at all aspects of healing because at that point I had nothing to lose. And the things that I found was that it's all body, mind, and spirit. It's not just one, because before the doctors, they were just treating the symptoms. And there was mental aspects to it that they never treated, and there was energetic aspects that they had no clue were even there. So we moved more into looking at myself as a whole package and not just treating the multiple sclerosis.
And when did you sense the shift? I mean, what was the first physical thing you felt? Did the symptoms just gradually go away, or was it a sudden thing?
There was actually one point where I woke up one day and I felt perfectly fine. And I thought, this is crazy. This is insane. How can I have been so sick and all of a sudden be healthy? And I said,
so it was an overnight
there
thing?
was this moment was an overnight thing, but then we get back to the rest of the story. It's not so easy. So this moment, this one day, I was perfect. I was just like I was before I started getting sick. And I said to myself, if I can be healthy for a day, I can be healthy for the rest of my life. And the next day, though, I didn't wake up healthy. The next day, I was right back to where I was. So I had one beautiful day. Again, I'd been praying for some hope. And that day gave me hope, and that's the day that sent me on my journey, where I started going to DOs, and I started talking to yogatsu therapists, and I started working with chiropractors.
Before you skip over that, what is that kind of therapist?
The particular one I went to, Alice, she basically, it's her form of healing.
Yep.
And she has a lot of background in therapy, yoga, and she takes the chakras and she uses the chakra information in order to open up the door for healing.
I see.
And so I started using a pendulum to check my own chakras, and I could tell every day if they were in balance or not. And it was interesting because something came up where I had a choice. I had a choice to do the right thing or do something that's a little shady. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to check that. Because I grew up with now my mother's an excellent woman, don't misunderstand me, but I grew up with her saying that you have to do certain things to get your way. And so I thought this was normal. I thought everybody lived that way, and I thought we were supposed to be like that. And so that particular day, I checked my chakras, and that was not in alignment with what I should do at all. And that was the part that brought me back into no more white lies. Because I was always an honest person, but the little white lies that we tell ourselves and we tell our friends and our neighbors to get through the day, no more.
No more.
That was the end of that.
So if somebody asks you, do these make my butt look good, you tell them, yes, it does.
Oh, yes, and I said, not only does it look good, it looks delicious. So enjoy that.
So no more white lies.
No more.
So tell me a little bit about how you and Timothy met, and what are you working together, or how does that arrangement work?
We work together off and on, depending on the particular cases. I met him because of a gentleman named Kevin. He's a paraplegic, and he will walk again. He's determined to. I have faith that he will. And so he's trying all different, again, like I did. I tried so many different types of practices, and I don't think it's any one thing that does the fix. I think everything has an aspect of healing in it, and trying everything brings each part of you until you reach the moment of health. And so he's trying all these different things, and I became one of the things that he was trying. And Timothy was one of the things that he was trying.
Yes.
And then one day he said, we need to do this together, and that's how I met Timothy.
And how long have you two been working with Kevin?
Would you say 2 years?
I'm going past 3. I think Kevin got into, hey, let's step this up. So I mean, you know, he wants to walk. So
Right, but it's a severe case. It's not a minor injury. It's a severe, almost partially severed spinal cord.
Yeah.
So rebuilding the spinal cord at a speed that can happen in your lifetime is a big deal. It's not something easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work, and he has seen progress. He's very happy about what's going on, and the doctors are blown away that we're accomplishing what we're accomplishing.
Well, why don't we make it a goal of this show to have Kevin as a guest sometime soon? And do you think he would agree to that?
Yes.
Because I'd like to hear from the horse's mouth, you know, the kind of progress that he's experiencing.
Well, I have to jump in and say, you know, we had these meetings every Wednesday that people are invited to. Now, if there was a room full of people giving energy, now we all have energy, but a lot of these people that are part of my world are just have a little more energy than most. If they would show up on a regular basis, his healing would be quicker and quicker. And this was the reason these meetings were put together. And we've had very little success, and I'm surprised that people don't want to spend that extra hour to help Kevin walk. I mean, virtually it goes that way. It goes that way. I find it, I'm perplexed.
Right.
But
so how many the amount of the people working with Kevin varies, does it?
Yes.
And what is the minimum? What is the maximum?
Well, we've had 20, and we've had 10, and we've had two in the last 3 weeks. So,
okay. What we'll do before the end of the hour, and if I forget, please remind me. We'll put the word out where people can get a hold of you, and our healers of different modalities welcome.
yes,
All different
yes,
modalities.
and they can bring people that have an issue.
Yeah.
Because I'm very successful at what I can do, and some of the times, if they got issues that I can fix, I'm right there.
Right.
We could spend the day together.
Right.
And Wednesdays are wide open to help others.
Okay. Well, we'll do that. We'll give out Timothy's contact information, and let's get back to Christine's story a little bit, because you were sharing with me a little bit about the transformation that you've gone into, and what do you see happening in your world when you work with people? Is it emotional? Is it physical? I know you work with people for business to help develop their business. Where do you feel drawn the most these days?
I enjoy doing physical pain, actually, because then I can wake somebody up to the fact that physical pain is not real. Don't misunderstand me. I know you feel the pain. I'm not saying you don't feel it, because I've had my fair share. What I'm saying is it's not real in the sense that it has to be. So working with physical pain, showing first just releasing the pain from the body. For instance, if you had a broken arm 20 years ago and you still get pain in that spot where that break is, I know why. And I can show you why. And I can help you understand why.
Why is that? Typically, why is that?
Let's say like a pain in the hand, so the boxer's break. A lot of people have a boxer's break, and that's the lower part of the pinky bone inside the hand. And when that breaks, that's a self-love issue, depending on which hand you break it in. So if you break it in your right hand, it's a self-love issue, and it's also about responsibility, discipline, and or finances. And so we go through your life and we show you every time you struggle in that realm, that hand seems to hurt right there. So we work on the issues and the pain goes away and it doesn't come back.
And the way you describe it reminds me a little bit about Louise Hay's books. Are you a fan of hers, or?
Actually, I was very sheltered from that realm. Like I said, I was mainstream medical. That's how I grew up.
Yeah.
And then when I did get very sick, I read a couple of things, but not much.
Of hers?
I read one book of hers that was a gift, but I've been pulled back from doing a lot of reading just because I channel. And direct channeling gives me the information I need in the moment, as opposed to having to find the information again and again and again in a publication. Books are designed to inspire you and to wake up the part of you that is sleeping. And as soon as that's awake, then you can go right to the source.
Yeah, and reading is interesting because a lot of people read and it just kind of goes in and out. When I read, depending on where I'm at that particular time, I get a real sense of ease and peace when I'm reading the kind of books I like to read. And why do you see that happens? The power of the written word.
Okay. A couple of things with written word. If it resonates with you, so when an author writes that information, they're inspired. Otherwise, it would never have made it into print. Who's going to take the time out to write something down if it doesn't matter?
Right.
So they're inspired and they want to communicate something, and that holds a vibration. When that vibration resonates with a part of you, it inspires you as well. So when you connect to something that you know to be true, without a doubt, and you know it in your heart, you know it in your soul, you know it in your body, it resonates with you, you feel it, and it gives you reassurance that everything is okay. And I think that's why a lot of us like to read the types of books that bring us to that feeling.
Right.
Because we want to remember that it's okay, that healing's a possibility, it's going to happen, and we're all okay.
Right. We were talking, just before we went on air, we were talking about how you believe, and I agree with you 100%, and I know Timothy does, that every single person has a healer within them. It might be a profound thing, it might be a subtle thing. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you've experienced?
Yes. So one of my talents is that I can recognize somebody's healing abilities, no matter what it is or how they're going to use it in their life. It's one of the things I can find in them. And I can go through and I can help them utilize it as well. I can help them figure out how to use it in their life. For instance, my own sister, when I started looking at this, my sister said to me, well, what's my healing ability? My sister, at the time, was working in a bank at a call center. And as we know, so many people are having trouble with credit cards and losing things. And my sister, even though she wasn't in a supervisor position, kept getting all these escalated calls transferred to her. And it made no sense. And I told her, I said, look, this is one of your healing abilities. You bring calm and peace to people who don't have it. You help them feel that there's hope. So one of her gifts is the gift of hope. And she gives that to people on a daily basis. It's part of her life. It's part of who she is. She has other abilities too, but that was the beginning. Now she's moving more into her own, where she actually instructs other people.
Right. Now, when you're working with people, it sounds like your practice has kind of shifted a little bit over the years. Where do you see the most usefulness lately? Is it from a business aspect? Is it personal? Is it
Actually,
physical health, or?
The most impact that I'm seeing is actually in the emotional area. I do a lot with business because I can bring people to a point where they can be successful again, where they have so many blocks they're not aware of why they're in their own way, and we can bring them to the point to release those blocks. But the part that is affecting more people more often is the emotional side, where we're out of balance with the chemical bonding in the body, the processes that allow us to be emotional without being overly emotional. So helping them bring back into truth and balance their belief systems so that there's no delusion. Is it getting too complicated?
No,
okay.
It makes sense. Actually, one of the philosophies of the Whitfields, who bring the Zenus Hour to the audience every week, is that even though the supplements are they're natural, they're organic, they do help heal, although you can't really say it cures anything. You can get into trouble by saying that, but their belief system is right in line with yours. They claim that it isn't a supplement, it isn't a doctor, it isn't a healer that does the healing. It's the body's own innate wisdom that allows the body to heal, and it sounds like you're right in line with that philosophy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why we like to wake up the healer in every person, because if you yourself are aware of your healing abilities, you can heal faster. You can heal more completely. It's always nice when you get stuck to have somebody to turn to. So again, I suggest everybody keep the practices going. Don't get discouraged. What we do is very important, and it's moving more mainstream too. I'm working with a couple of doctors, one in Henderson, one in Summerlin, where we're going to be mainstreaming the type of work I do with their medical practice.
And how will that? Are they MDs? Are they
Yes.
naturopaths?
We have MDs and DOs that we're working with.
Ah, very good. Is it premature to promote that?
Yes, it's a little bit, but I just want people to be aware that it's happening.
Right.
Because the day is coming where you're going to see it everywhere. And it's not as far in the future as people think. It's coming closer and closer.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
And I'm not intuitive myself, but
can I correct you on that? Everybody's intuitive. It's just whether you can hear it or not.
Okay, I got to tune in more.
Yes.
Then. Yeah.
You should come to my classes on that.
Okay. It's a date. But one of the things that I really love about just in the short time that I've been on this earth, you can really, if you look at people, you can really see that people's consciousness is rising.
Yes.
I mean, I don't resonate with the things I did when I was younger, and people's consciousness just seems to be slowly rising. Sometimes it gets frustrating, I imagine, for a lot of people, like, come on, let's go, let's pick up the pace a little bit. But that sounds like that's exactly what you're about, is to wake up people to the fact of what their natural ability is.
Yes. And all my friends and my family, when I first started doing this, I talk to everybody. Strangers find themselves compelled to speak to me and ask me questions that they've never thought to ask anybody before. And again, we're waking them up.
Right.
We're bringing them to a point of awareness where they want to start looking. They want to start experiencing health and wellness. And it is the time. The energy coming in for 2012 wasn't the destruction of the earth, in my opinion. It's the awakening. What are we going to do to individuate ourselves? How can we be an individual and still be connected to the higher consciousness all in the same moment at the same time?
Right. Now, when someone is out of balance, whether it's emotionally or physically, or maybe their business is out of balance, where do you start?
Of course, we start with a conversation. And we start with scanning. Like, I can scan your body, and I can see right now you got a little issue going on right there. So that would,
And what does that mean?
Well, that's a heart chakra issue. So we would just sit down and we would address the issue, what that's about. Yours is it's a profile issue. So it's more about maintaining your energy than anything else. So you might find on a daily basis how you would experience it is your energy probably has sudden drops.
Yeah, you're right. I do. Yeah, I get kind of like, I feel like I need a nap at about 1:30 or 2 o'clock. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and it's like the bottom falls out.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do, of course, is take the nap.
Yeah.
Because that's your body saying, hello, I need this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we're taking those 10 to 20-minute power naps, it's the information being downloaded into the body. The system is needing something that we've been blocking. And when we get our consciousness out of the way, the energy now can come in. Energetic change in the body is very important. Energy is supposed to be in flux, flowing through us all the time. We as human beings have a tendency to grab onto something and think that we need to keep it. And we get body blocks by doing that.
And do you work with people outside of Las Vegas as well?
Yes.
And
all over the whole world.
The whole
world. Entire world.
Are you?
You want to hear a small interesting story?
I was just going to ask you. Can you share with us some of the interactions you've had with people that might be outside of the country, for example?
I can show you the very first one. It was just such an awakening for me to realize that this was possible. Because again, mainstream medicine never knew that alternative healing even existed. I had a massive heart attack and died. And when I came back, I started searching. I wanted to know because I knew things. And I wanted to know what it was that I actually knew. And so that was my awakening. And I was on a chat room, and a lady just said to me something, and I said, well, I know this. She says, well, tell me something about myself. And I said, well, I don't think I can do that. But I started just writing anyway. And next thing you know, I had 3 pages of information about her. A lady I've never met. And one of the visuals I gave her, I said, it's like you're holding a big, fat, fluffy gray cat and you're petting it, but you're petting it so hard that the cat wants to run. And we just went into detail with the visualization. And she says, that's my personality. That's exactly my personality. And we, at the end of the channel is what I would call it now. At the time, I didn't know that it was a channel.
Yeah.
But at the end of the channel, we ended it with things about her relationship with her father. And it was powerful. It gave her a sense of healing. That was my first experience with helping another person heal.
And it was online.
It was online on the other side of the world.
Wow.
Now I have people, they call me with chronic pain, and I can do distance healing, which I was very resistant to doing first because I like face-to-face. I enjoy the energy of other people. And I didn't feel connected at first with doing distance healing. And actually, I think it was more the trust issue. Could I believe it was really true? Because it is, guys, I do so many things that I know are crazy. I mean, I truly know that based on how I grew up and what I was taught to believe, that there's just no way this is real. But it happens to me every day now. I do these things on a daily basis. So telepathically, connecting with, I've worked on a couple murders. I've worked on lost items. I'm not very good with lost items, though, so don't anybody call me and ask me for lost items. Those are too difficult for me.
What are your favorite type of people to work with?
The ones that are almost there that just need a little push. Because I really don't need long-term clients. I am very busy and I have lots to get done, and I love all of you, don't worry. But to have to babysit people is too much work.
Yeah.
And my job is to be a door holder, to open the door for people. So when somebody's so close and I can feel the vibration in their body and I know exactly where the minute change needs to be, and they just can't quite figure it out, and all I do is go in a little tweak, and there's a small adjustment, and then there's the aha, and they're like, oh my God, I got it. And I'm like, yes, you do.
And some of the people that you've worked with, have you seen them kind of get into what you're doing? Are they learning how to help others? I have
apprentices, and they normally have a tendency to find me in a moment of need. And what I would like to do as a proactive contribution to the community is in the next year, I would like to put together monthly sessions where people who are healers or want to be healers, we can all get together and talk about the possibilities. I have a lot of information, and I know there's a lot of people that need it, but they don't know where to look. And I believe, don't you have a nonprofit too that helps people find some of these things?
Yeah, mine is basically, I was sharing with you a little bit before the show. A friend of mine's son was sick with cancer, and we were looking for the chemo was beating him up pretty bad, and we were looking for alternatives. And I got turned on to a therapy, and what I learned was the year that I spent on that project was all this information kept coming in, and I kept wondering, why don't more people know about this? And interestingly, we had a guest last week, Dr. Dan Rogers, who's been in with the Gerson Plus therapy for years and years and years. And we were just talking, and he said something very interesting, which I didn't even think about and haven't thought about for a long time. He said, you would not believe how many people that don't even know there's an alternative.
Exactly.
You know,
when
those of us that that love alternatives find that hard to believe, but I think he's right.
And I was one of them.
Yeah.
I was in my 30s before I had a clue that there was anything else. And one of the first things I changed when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis was I went and started the Swank diet. And I hadn't heard of the Gerson at the time, or I'm sure I would have gone in that direction, because I've looked into that, and it's an excellent therapy. But I worked with Swank diet, and that alleviated probably 45, almost 50% of my symptoms.
No kidding. And describe the diet briefly.
It's not like a raw diet. You cook your food is fine,
Yep.
but you take out red meat, you take out sugar, flour, dairy. There's not much left.
Caffeine?
No caffeine.
Right.
But I don't really think most people have caffeine without sugar, so it's kind of one of those hands in hands things. I don't even think about the caffeine being there.
Yeah.
Just taking out chocolate was probably the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
But you start to realize when you do take all of those things out of your diet, what they're doing to your body. And it's not to say that you can't eat them later on, but when you're in a state of depleted health, nutrition is extremely important.
Yeah.
Now I can eat anything I want. My body's balanced, and I know when and how much of.
So it was like a vegetarian diet is what you went on?
Mm-mm. No, you're actually supposed to use fish and chicken, but I didn't like fish. Nothing from the sea for me, please. But chicken was excellent. Chicken every day was
okay.
good.
Okay, because I do a lot of chicken.
Ah, good. Yes, chicken is perfectly acceptable. They do suggest that you use organic foods, you know, on organic meats, and you can Google it. It's online. It's the Swank diet, SWANK, and it's very simple, very easy to follow. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the thought that you can't stop. I mean, you can't just pop into McDonald's. You can't have your you can't have your food in hydrogenated oils. I mean,
Right.
some of these things you just have to get used to.
Yeah. And there's some wonderful movies that have come out recently about diet and the power of diet, like Forks Over Knives is a excellent movie. And there's Food Inc. I found really interesting. And it's funny you say that, because I had met a guy, and I mentioned this a while back. I met a guy, he and his brother both were diagnosed with bone marrow cancer. And they looked great. I said, what did you guys do? You look wonderful. And they said, well, we heard about a diet a church was promoting, Hallelujah Acres out of North Carolina. And they teach this, pretty much what you just said. If you can get meat, dairy, white sugar, white flour, and caffeine out of your diet. The pastor that runs Hallelujah Acres teaches that 90% of sickness in this world would just go away if you
Of the body sickness, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not the mental and the emotional, but the body sickness.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And when he said that to me, I found that kind of hard to believe, but it sounds like you would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 90%.
90% is a little high in my opinion, because there's other things that happen energetically in the body that create sickness as well. And my personal belief is all sickness starts at an energy level and moves into the body to create the symptoms. So a symptom such as a pain in the shoulder, again, that's a heart chakra issue. And if you find your shoulders leaning forward, rolling your shoulders forward, which you can see a lot when you look around
Yes.
society today, you can see many people rolling their shoulders forward.
Yeah.
Well, energetically, what does that mean? Well, that you're protecting your heart chakra.
Whoa.
Right. So now there's so many things in body language too. If you start looking at body language, you can look and you can see things before they move into the symptom level.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's so much press nowadays about obesity. What is that about?
Protection.
Protection.
Yes, on several different levels. For instance, if you're in a marriage and you're not happy, and you love your partner, but you're not happy, and there's cruelty there, there's, misunderstandings. Let's even just say you have a good marriage, but there's so many misunderstandings that you just don't feel like that's where you want to be. Well, you need extra space to hold all that extra weight. You're going to gain weight. That's one of the things.
Can we argue?
Oh, we can. I'm not done. We have many other things, but I'd be happy for you to give more to this. Yes.
Well, America's obesity is related to laziness. I mean,
oh no, I can't agree with that.
We're talking about children that are given garbage food their whole life. The parent is given garbage food. They're eating crap their whole life.
Right, but
why
there's a
would
reason
they not be
for
obese?
There's a reason for it. Do you know? I know plenty of people that eat crap their whole life. Ice cream every night. My one friend, she's not obese.
Yeah, but watch
She
the
only eats
TV
junk
set.
food.
Watch what's on TV. They're advertising more and more fast food. It's garbage.
I've got a question for you. People that are coming out of addictions like gambling or alcoholism or drug, it's so common to see them just wolfing down sundaes and ice cream.
Because they're moving from one source of comfort to another.
Why is it the sugar, though?
That's actually too long to be able to. That would take me about 3 hours to explain. I know you would think it'd be a simple answer, but it's a really complicated.
We're going to
thing.
have her back. We'll definitely have her back. But now, another thing that seems to be on the rise more than ever is cancer.
Yes.
Talk about that and why.
Okay. Cancer primarily has started from anger. From most forms of cancer. I cannot say all of them, but you just want a general.
Yeah.
In general, most cancers start because of anger, internalized anger. And I'd rather actually give the solution real quick to that, and then we can talk more about it if you want.
Yeah.
But basic anger is just fear. So when you're angry, if you ask yourself, what is it I'm afraid of?
So fear is the primary emotion, and then it
Anger
morphs
is the result.
into anger.
Correct. Because
Gotcha.
when you cannot deal with your fears, what can you possibly do?
Right.
You have to bust out. You have to push it away from you because the weight of fear is so heavy and so scary.
Yeah.
That what are you going to do? Well, you're just going to turn it into anger. That's the only solution that the body has found to deal with intense high levels of fear.
Right. So where does spirituality come into the mix of getting more aware of your higher self or a higher being or a higher power? Where does that come in?
Okay. Now, I don't want to sound trite and overused, but meditation is always a very good form because what we have is we have the conscious mind in the way of your higher power, your higher connection. And we want to give the authority back to, say, the subconscious, the supreme conscious levels. So using meditation to reduce the chatter in the mind is an excellent way to reconnect. When you're meditating, and in fact, I have a blog on my website that I did previously, and I've kept it archived because it gives you a foundation for a certain kind of meditation so that you can open up to be connected. One of the questions I used to get all the time is, why do you get these experiences? Because I have thousands of experiences. And people say, why do you get this? Why do you have this? And I say, I listened. And that's why. So I did meditate and I listened to the higher powers, the higher part of self. And when you connect to that, you get more.
Right. I read something interesting a long, long time ago. It was Emmett Fox in his book, Sermon on the Mount. He said there's 4 kinds of prayer. There's invocatory prayer, there's praise, where you're giving thanks, there's meditative prayer, and then he said something really interesting. He said, and then of course the highest form of prayer, contemplation. Well, I had never heard such a thing. I didn't know the first thing about contemplation. Would you agree with that? And if so, describe what you think of contemplation as.
Contemplation is bringing the higher part of yourself into the actual physical body, in my opinion. So when you contemplate something, when you're completely open, there's no attachment, there's no judgment, there's no rush to the end result. You're allowing all of information to come into the body. And in doing so, then you have the information to work with. Without it being in the body, you can't work with it. And that's not just in the mind. So the mind is a tool, but it's not the whole form of thought. When you contemplate, you're normally thinking from a different part of the body. You're thinking say, from the heart center. And if you have the thought processes going through the heart, people say think with your heart, not with your head.
Right.
And that literally is a truism.
Right.
There's something to it. And when you start to feel it, you know it.
Yeah.
So I remember the moment when I felt myself contemplating and thinking from the heart and feeling that truth. So without contemplation, you can't get to the truth. There's too many perceptions and there's too many judgments in the way more often than not.
Right. So when you're contemplating, you're really just getting more in touch with your heart and your higher
truth.
Your truth.
Yeah.
And are they all the same as your higher truth and your higher self? And
Oh,
are they
my
all
goodness.
the same, or do you differentiate
I
between them?
have, over time, we've been able to differentiate so many particles of the body that are different aspects. And I'm currently working on that with another person, where we're channeling the information, how the conscious mind is developed, where it received its authority, where free will and greater will coexist, all of these different aspects. And it is extremely complicated. I didn't expect it to be. And
Why do you think it is? Because a lot of wonderful things on this earth seem simple when you boil it all down.
Yes.
Why is it complicated?
because we're human.
So we're the ones complicating it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So each of these little parts, they work fine by themselves, but we decide to come in and take authority over them. For instance, I don't think that many people would know that free will was designed to make a choice, not a decision. We have greater will and we have free will. Greater will is more in alignment with the soul, and free will is part of the experience of here on earth. And it is unique, by the way, to earth, the way we experience free will. And that's a whole nother discussion, another 2 days worth of information. But so our free will is designed to do things like pick a food we're going to eat. When we have 3 partners in front of us, and any one of the 3 would be good for the rest of our lives, our free will gives us that choice. But then we came in with the conscious mind, started to override free will's primary objective, which again was to make a choice. And the conscious mind started using decisions over choices. So greater will was the deciding factor. You know, people say your soul level information.
Right.
And we started coming in with decisions. So for instance, you know something's terribly wrong for you. And you know it. And you decide, I'm going to do it anyway.
Just to see.
Just because you just can't help yourself. And you go and you scream at your partner or someone you love and care for, and you scream at them, and you knew you didn't want to, and you knew it was the wrong thing to do, but you decided because you were in such great pain that that's what you're going to do. Well, that's a decision. That's not a choice. You overrode your choices. Your choices were to communicate, to get along, to love each other. Those are choices.
Right.
The decision to harm another is different. And our free will allows us, with the conscious mind's power, to override things that we know to be true, things that we know to be healthy. Putting that next Snickers bar, after you've already had 3 Snickers bars at the drive-in theaters, putting the next one in your mouth.
Right.
You already know you're going to be sick the next day from eating so much sugar. You already know you're not going to feel good. But your conscious mind says, but it's delicious.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something earlier about the power of fear and what it can do to disrail you. But one of my favorite books that I've discovered within the last year or so was The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And he talks about fear as being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had never, ever heard that in my whole life, that fear is a thing. And he said, when you have fear, you have a choice. He said, you can get into it and mix it up with it and get attached to it, he said, or you could just lean back and just let it go.
Absolutely.
And just let it go. Now, it sounds like you agree with that.
I do. And even more so, I would like to define fear as the farthest distance you can be from light. So in those moments when you're feeling that, you can step away from it. You can move back into the source of light. You can embrace the concept of divinity. So for myself, if I find myself in a moment of fear, and it does happen, I still have habitual behaviors that I'm breaking down. I mean, I haven't been this person my entire life. I've been me, but not who I am today my entire life.
Right.
And so occasionally I'll step into a fearful moment. I mean, I have 6 kids. There's always something going on with somebody. And in that fearful moment, I remember that it's not real. False evidence appearing real. I don't remember where that's from, but I'm sure somebody Somebody's heard that besides me.
Yep.
And
I've
I
heard
like the
that before.
acronym.
Yeah.
And it rings true that this is something that's not real. Oh, here's a better way to tell if you're in fear or not, and how to utilize it for yourself. When you have a discomfort, so for instance, when you go to touch something that's hot, what happens? As a child, you pull your hand back. You instinctively know to pull your hand back because it's hot and you're burning yourself. Now, in an emotional situation, when you have that pain, you're supposed to pull back. But what do? We hold our hand right there on that burner and we let it sizzle. We push ourselves into that emotional pain. We delve into it until it gets to the point that it becomes fear. Now we're afraid of what we don't have. And so instead of waiting till you get to the place where you're already in fear, why not stop it? Like you said, why not pull back from it before it becomes painful? As soon as you feel the pain, stop, pay attention. That's something I don't want. I move into the truth of the situation. A truth is not painful. A true truth, something that you know to be true, that you embody, it is not painful. For instance, the fear of death. How many people find thinking about death painful? A lot.
Yeah.
But see, I talk to people on the other side all the time, and it's no big deal. I'm not afraid of dying anymore, but I was.
And the people that you talk with on the other side, is it usually because somebody here wants, there's some unfinished business, or why does that usually
so
happen?
many reasons. Some people just like to talk to me because they know I can hear them. So, so I'll be out and about doing my own thing, and I'll hear a hello, and I'll be like, who is that? And they'll just have a chat. They'll have something they remember that they want to experience. We're talking about people that have already crossed over.
Right.
And occasionally they'll want me to tell somebody who's right next to me, oh, hey, could you tell my brother over there that I miss him and that everything's fine? And I do those things when I really need to. But most of the time I say, can you just tell him yourself, please?
Yeah.
And, because people can feel when the spirits are trying to contact them. They may not be able to hear them, but they can feel it. So the primary reason that somebody on the other side is trying to communicate isn't for their need. It's because somebody here is asking a question. So the unfinished business is being sparked by us.
It's on this realm.
It's on us, right. So we're saying to Sister Sue, where did you leave the key? Where did you leave the key? And
Yeah.
Sister Sue was like, tell him I left the key under the dog. Something silly.
Right.
And another thing is they want our happiness. So even if it's not a deceased individual, say it's an entity or a spirit, somebody, or an angel even. And, guardian angels, I know some really fun stories about them another day if you want to ask.
Yeah.
So some of these things, when they all want to help us. They all have our best interests in mind because they can see what we can't see. They're already out of body.
Right.
Once you're out of body, everything is clear. So you know how they say that your life flashes before you? That's because once you die, you get to see everything clearly. And you get to know in each moment how you could have done it differently to have been in balance with yourself and others. So everyone that passes, everyone that's experienced being human, they know what we're going through. And they want our success. So when we ask, they're always there to give us the answers.
And angels, a gentleman that used to speak here in town all the time, I think he's moved away, but he used to say, if you don't call on your angels, they just lay around and get fat and lazy. And do you agree
Yes.
with that?
From what I have experienced, from talking to guardian angels especially, is they do not have the right to interfere.
Right.
They will not do anything for you, but they will help you with anything that you ask.
So they have to be asked.
Correct.
Right.
For that particular angel. There's other
Right.
people that can override you and kind of push into your space. That's different.
Right.
But when it comes to a guardian angel, and another thing that I learned from talking to one specific guardian angel is guardian angels, from what I can tell, don't have human souls. The reason they connect to us is because they don't have a soul. So they connect to us.
They're just
in
pure
order,
spirit.
Yes, in order to utilize our soul connection is part of the reason they began connecting to us. And then once they found that and they liked it, then they wanted to be part of us and they want to help us. And it kind of started in that way. It was a progression. It wasn't like all of a sudden God said, and let there be guardian angels.
Yeah.
It was all, this is this energy and they want something and we have something to offer and now we're coexisting.
Interesting. Before we run out of time, Timothy, tell people how they can get in touch with you. And do you have a website?
Yes, I have a website. It's sportsenergyhealing.com. I better look at it again.
And what's
We get with sportsenteredhealing.com. It's www.sportsenteredhealing. And I actually have our last meeting, our last show. Thank you. Actually, you just press the button and listen to the last show, which talking about a couple of the people that have talked on my behalf about healing the shoulder and lupus and things where I'm capable of doing. I'm gifted and she's very gifted, and I hope.
Why don't you give out your phone number too, so they can call?
I'm 702-809-5569. We're just, every Wednesday. We have the meeting that you guys, everyone's welcome to come and get healed, match minds, talk to each other, learn, and we're going to help Kevin walk one day.
Very
Excellent.
Good. Very good. And how can they get in touch with you, Christine?
The best is probably texting, because if you leave me a voicemail message or an email, it's unlikely I'm going to get to it quickly. You can do that, but you're going to be behind the list of everybody else that's waiting. If you text me at 702-339-3076, I will respond to you as quickly as possible.
Very good. Now, you had made reference to bringing people that feel a yearning to heal and start. Do you have a facility for that?
I do. Luminosity has generously offered their conference rooms to us to be used any day of the week that we want. We just need to go ahead and start gathering names and numbers of people that want to participate so we can pick the day and get that started.
Okay. And where is Luminosity?
Luminosity is at the corner of Smoke Ranch and Tenaya.
Okay. And what is it? Is it a spa? Is it a...
It's a healing center.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yes.
And what goes on there? What type of practitioners?
Christine, who runs Luminosity, she's a clinical hypnotherapist. There's theta healers, there's intuitives, there's other people that work with oils, and there's massage. There's lots of different things. So if you want to give Christine a call at Luminosity, I don't have the number handy, but you can find her on the internet, no problem, just under Luminosity.
Luminosity, very good. What do you see your mission within the next short term? I know long term we talked a little bit before the show where you see everything going, but short term, where do you see most of the emphasis?
Short term is just on the idea of becoming aware that healing's possible. And not only wanting healing, but emanating healing. Because how many healers do you see that are unhealthy? And I mean, I'm not disparaging anyone, but the fact is, when I started this journey, I weighed 210 pounds, and I was a mess emotionally. I would scream. I'd throw little fits now and then. So even just the healers, we need to work on our issues. We need to find the root of our issues. We need to deal with them. We can't just keep doing the healing work because we enjoy it. And it is very enjoyable. Everyone that heals in any aspect, they know that they enjoy it. But in the now, it's all of the healers need the battle call. They need to know that they need to heal themselves first.
Yeah.
And if they don't do that, then where are we going to be?
Yeah. Timothy, I know when you were in here last, you had a person that was vouching for you big time. I forget his name. That he shared the table with you last time you were here on the show. Is you still working with him?
Excuse me. He trains all the time, and so I see him every 3 or 4 months with an issue. And he, somebody that's doing any training, you're gonna. His name's Kevin, and Kevin, it took me a year to get to my home, and like I said, you've said, we know he was unable to turn his head. He's an ex-minor league baseball player. He always trained, and he had issues, and it took him a year to get to my home, and now he will kill for me.
And what type of injury or healing do you prefer to work with?
Well, my goal as a professional athlete, as a professional practitioner of the shoulder. I have perfected the shoulder where it's real easy to fix, and Christine has figured out why I'm so good at the shoulder. But the shoulder and quantum touches the spine and the neck and the shoulder. Now, I'm a rookie at knees, but I've been successful with the knee. But I'm really, hopefully down the road, I'll be working on the professional on the shoulder, which is a major issue, which is a major surgery. And, I've had the top lady in town, 25 years, brought in Reiki, get repaired in 6 sessions, and she was fixed after 3, and all the rest was maintenance. She had a respiratory problem, and I fixed in 2 sessions. Fixing is, especially if you're attuned like we are, Christine, your body accepts it quicker, and it's just amazing. It's unbelievable, and this whole thing's been a wonderful experience. And I'm glad I've met Christine, where we've worked on children. McDonald House, we supplied some children, and we put them in, we fixed them all. It's a special thing, and hopefully, the rest of my life will be healing people.
Very good, very good. We're getting ready to wrap things up. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience before we call it a day?
Don't discount the small things.
I like that.
Wait, throw that by me again.
Too many times we allow ourselves to get wrapped up in the bigger story and the big picture, and there's small little details in our lives that are so important, that are so beneficial, and we just walk right past them.
Yeah. We don't notice.
The smile on a child's face.
Yeah.
When somebody you love notices that you walk in the room. These things, they bring light to our lives. They're joyful, and don't discount them. Enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, it's been great having you guys with us, and we'll have you back again soon, I trust. And keep us posted on, in fact, I'd like to, as your sessions grow with the healers that are of like mind and they start gathering, I'd like to help promote that, because I think that could really have a wonderful ripple effect for Las Vegas. So
I think so. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And thank you, George, for all your wonderful work. And we'll talk to all of you soon. Thanks.
Mother Nature has the answer to all the things we need. It is in the purest waters which flow out to the sea. You will find it.